Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another session of Menopause Strategy Sessions, where we have real conversations with experts who are helping women navigate midlife. And today I'm so excited to be joined by Melissa Chavis, who is an expert in human design. So welcome, Melissa.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, human design has been interesting to me because it has helped me. And Melissa and I met through Instagram and also through a friend of ours. And we had this conversation about how I could help myself in my own life get rid of some of the chaos as I was starting this menopause business. And I have gone through many conversations with her and I've had many light bulb moments. And I'm so grateful to her for having shown me some clarity and a light at the end of this dark tunnel that I thought I was in. So, Melissa, I thought it would be fitting for you to join us here as an expert because I'm sure you can help other women that are navigating the same types of feelings. So let's start with talking about what human design is in general.
So, human design, I would say it's very similar to things like astrology, numerology, if you've heard of those sorts of categorization systems. However, it is so much deeper and so much more in depth. It actually combines some of those systems, and it's a newer sort of system. It was developed in 1987 by Ra Aruhu, who essentially received this divine download of the entire system and wrote it all out. And now we can run charts and use that information to help us kind of come back to ourselves. It's essentially this part spiritual, part science system, and it's all about individuation and truly understanding who you uniquely are and who you came here to be. So it can be very helpful in just getting a deeper understanding of yourself and who you are and what you really need to function optimally.
So when you first talked to me about this, the pieces of information that you wanted from me were my date of birth, my place of birth, and my time of birth. So
Yes.
why are those pieces so important in mapping out your human design chart?
So, because the system combines things like astrology, the chakra system, the I Ching, also quantum physics, it is all dependent on sort of like, starting with your birth chart and where everything was in the sky when you were born. And he brings in quantum physics in this way of sort of what was happening in the quantum field at your date and time and location of birth as well. So, that's where all of that comes from, or where all that comes in.
So for me, when you did my chart, one of the things you told me was that I was a manifesting generator. And so for me, what that meant was I'm the type of person that enjoys coming up with great ideas and putting them out there in the universe. And I knew that to be true because that's who I am. But then it also helped me understand some of the things that I possibly don't like to do. Unfortunately for me, that was actually doing a lot of the execution. Those things did not make me happy. So when you talked to me about that, the perspective was, okay, well, how are you running your business? And are you running it from a place of true alignment? So can you talk more about what alignment means? And not just for me, but just all of the other people that you talk to?
Right. Yeah. So human design essentially shows you the way you are naturally meant to move through this world, the way your natural human energy works best. And it also shows you how you're meant to make decisions, how you naturally show up and magnetize other people into your space, which is a huge part of what I use in the business alignment space, right? But even in just everyday life, it's helpful to understand those things about yourself. And I think especially, when you're navigating the shifts and changes that are happening in your life and in your body through perimenopause, menopause, all of that, it is really helpful to have this sort of roadmap to come back to that tells you, like, here's what you actually need in your life in order to actually function optimally. And so for you, being a manifesting generator, you are someone who kind of has your hand in a lot of different pots at any given moment.
Yes.
And that is how your energy works. And that's how it works best, is actually being able to kind of contribute where you're needed in all of these different places. But it's really difficult for your energy to kind of do full scope deep dive on like one specific topic and just focus all of your energy into that day after day. And so what burnout actually isn't, working too much. It's putting too much of your energy toward the things that aren't aligned for you. And so human design actually shows you like what is aligned for you. What are you supposed to be spending your time doing? What actually lights you up, and how to tell when something is lighting you up. Because mentally you might think, oh, this is something that I'm supposed to be doing or something that I want to be doing. But physically in our body, we can usually feel that resistance. And when we keep moving in that direction where that resistance is coming in, we eventually get burnt out. And so I think that for you and your business, that manifesting generator just lets you know, like, you're not going to be able to sit there and just focus on and do a deep dive on one thing all day, every day. You've got to have some different layers here and some different pieces and contributing where it feels right. But I think for as it relates to menopause and perimenopause and all of the things that women are going through there, it's really going to help you understand, like, energetically, physically in your body. Once you hit perimenopause, you start to realize that the way you've been running your life and all of the things that you've been doing on a daily basis and the way you've been functioning might not be possible anymore because physically your body is like, okay, we need to make some changes around here. We need to make some shifts. And you start to feel those symptoms and have all of those things come up for you. Human design kind of gives you this roadmap to how your body energetically works. And so it can help you with, like, how do I actually come back to that? How do I get rid of, like you just said, all that external noise out there, the chaos, the overwhelm, and come back to me and understand how I need to function? And I think combined with, a lot of the things that you talk about and, just the understanding of what's happening in your body as far as hormonally, and then understanding energetically how you're designed to work. When you combine those things actually just really get easier.
It's like they click.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all the pieces click together. And I know you and I have talked about this before, you and I have had conversations and you've mentored me around my human design and this concept of me being a manifesting generator. And I made some changes in the way that I was presenting myself through my business. And we talked about that. And the change and the decrease in the stress then moves other things. I feel lighter. I feel better. I can think clearly. The gloom and doom is gone. Because I really sat there and I thought about, this is what you were meant to be and to do. So just do that. That's it. And it seems simplistic now, but when you were talking to me about it, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? But it really is, if you just trust in the process.
Mm-hmm.
And allow your body to naturally do the thing it was literally born to do for you, just for you now, right?
Mm-hmm.
That makes so much sense. And then in terms of when I talk about how every woman should have a strategy to manage midlife, this is part of the strategy. Knowing who you are and being authentic in yourself and following that path. That is a lot of the hard work done for you because it takes away all of the stress and the angst, right?
Yeah. And I think, like I've said, I've referred to it as this roadmap. Like your chart is kind of this roadmap for you. And I think going through all of the changes that you're going through at this point in your life, in a lot of ways, yes, we are seeing this like surge, which is amazing in the conversation around perimenopause and menopause, which I think is amazing. But in a lot of ways, you don't really have like instructions on how to be the best you that you can be. And I think not only are things happening hormonally in your body, but then that leads to sort of recognizing these other areas of your life where you've been out of alignment. It's like all of these things kind of culminate in this realization that, oh my gosh, the way I've been doing things is not working. And I think we see a lot of women at that point in their lives who start kind of going through that spiritual awakening process and wanting to learn more about themselves and who they are and go a little bit deeper because they're finally at this point where the status quo is truly just not working anymore. And they're like, I got to figure out a different way of living my life. And I think that human design essentially does that. It gives you a roadmap for, how to truly come back to yourself and how to be that most authentic version. And when you can then see that, and the other piece too is, and of course this happened with you as well, it happens with every single woman I do a reading for, this recognition when I start talking and telling them about themselves when we've never even had a conversation before. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's me. That actually is me. But then there's, as you keep talking, there's this also like recognition of, yeah, that's actually me sort of underneath all the other stuff and all of the external noise that I've been listening to my whole life. And so it's this recognition of like that's the real me.
Yeah.
And then when you can actually start to lean into it and trust it and move with it, then like you said, it just makes things simpler. And you're like, oh, it's not as challenging or difficult as I thought it was, now that I know how to listen to myself and trust myself on these decisions.
100%. And I'm working on that too, because I hear your voice and I hear you talking to me and I'm like, I know, Melissa, but I still have to go do this and that because it's part of the business, right? You still want to do all of the other things, but I truly believe that when I actually do listen 100% to that voice, and I come back to my true self, like having these conversations on these menopause strategy sessions. This is me. This is who I am authentically. I feel that much better. 100%.
Yeah. And I think that's sort of when this new part of life starts. And I think perimenopause, menopause is sort of like you're going into that next part of your life, that next chapter of who you are and how you operate in this world. And I think, if you can kind of come back to this true authentic version of yourself, it is so much less noisy and chaotic. And I think most women, at this point in life, they're in their like 40, 50, 60s, are also recognizing like, I am so tired of putting on this mask of, persona of who I thought I was supposed to be. And so it all kind of comes together and culminates at this, like, you know what? I just actually want to figure out who I really am. And I want to figure out, like, what does my body need? What do I need in order to enjoy the rest of my life? Enjoy the time that I'm here. And human design is something that can truly give you that guidance in that moment.
So you talked about when you have your reading with clients. So walk us through what a typical reading or appointment would look like.
So I typically start with like a 1 hour human design reading and I run the chart, and then we have a 60-minute Zoom conversation where we really typically try to focus on what I consider the big three aspects of your chart, which is your energy type, your strategy, and your authority. Because once you understand your energy type, which is how is my physical energy meant to move, and how much physical energy do I naturally have? And then your strategy, which is how do I actually make moves? How do I take action? How do I do things in my life? And then your authority, which is how do I make decisions? What does my inner knowing, my inner guide, my inner voice actually sound like? Because that's the thing. It sounds different for everybody. So for some people, it's like truly that gut feeling, like you just feel it in your gut, like this is a yes or this is a no. But some people, it's a little bit more complex and they have to kind of wait things out and really get a sense for how they feel about something over time. So when you can finally understand that about yourself, it makes all the difference in the world. So we go deep on basically those top three areas of your chart. And then if there are other aspects of your chart that I've seen as I've gone through it before the session, that I think are really important to tell you about, then we might touch on those too. But the top three, like I said, energy type, strategy, and authority, if you can actually follow those in your life and lean in and focus on that and paying attention to that in your day-to-day life, that will change your life. Like 100%, it does.
Yes, the decision making. I think that is key, especially for us in midlife when that becomes marred by so many outside sources. You're making decisions based on how you feel, what your job is doing, how much money is available, what resources you have, and all of those things. And they are potentially clouding your judgments.
Yeah, most of the time they are. I mean, we have been told over and over again to make decisions with our brain, right? Like think through it, weigh the pros and cons, be strategic, basically all about thinking about it. And my biggest pet peeve of them all, what would somebody else do in this situation?
Oh, yes.
It's like the worst question ever to ask yourself because it doesn't matter what somebody else will do in the situation. You're not them. We've been told over and over to make decisions based on like thinking about it. And what that turns into for most of us is like spiraling and
Overthinking.
overthinking and just getting into this cloud of overwhelm and confusion. And nobody can make a good decision from there, right? So when you learn how to come back to your body for your decision making, to your true authority, it's night and day. When you start to really hone in on that and learn how to use it and start actually making decisions from that place, it truly is night and day. It's like, oh, well, this is so obvious. This is what I'm meant to do here. When you start making decisions from that aligned space and from what you're truly meant to be doing, it makes all the difference in the world for you. It changes your life, really.
I can attest to that. Yes, you're right. So, what if you're listening now and you're thinking, okay, how do I get a chart? I want to start now. I want to understand. Where do you go?
Yes. So my website, it is go.melissachavis.com
Okay.
/home.
Home. Okay. So, we will have that in
Yes.
the description under this video.
And
Yes.
you can actually download your free chart.
Okay.
You just input, like you said, birth date, time, and location on there, and it will generate a chart for you so that you can read through all of the different aspects. Charts can feel kind of overwhelming when you first see them because there's a lot.
There is a lot.
Human design is so in-depth and so intricate and detailed that they estimate that there are at least 2 billion possible charts that you could have. So it truly is individual to you. But like I said, starting with those top 3, and then there's also a place on my website where if they wanted to book a reading, they could do that there as well.
Nice. All right. And so in closing, as we come to the end of our human design journey conversation, if you were to leave our listeners with 3 things that they can do today, if they don't have their chart, to get them thinking about their alignments, what would you say?
Find one practice. Typically, this is a breathwork practice that will help you regulate your nervous system because, especially right now in today's world, we're all walking around with completely dysregulated nervous systems.
We are.
So, number 1, find a way to help yourself regulate your nervous system. Find a quick practice. I have a couple that are super easy, super quick, and I can literally just do it when I'm out somewhere and I'm just feeling those feelings of overwhelm, right? Number 2 is kind of an either or. Journal or meditate.
Mm-hmm.
So regulate your nervous system and then get quiet for a minute. Just go to a place where you can not hear all of the noise. Be in stillness. And if meditation is a little too challenging for you, then go with the journaling. It's a little easier to kind of break into, right? And number 3 would be get your chart. I mean, you literally could get your chart today if you wanted to and get that information, because the sooner you can understand that, the sooner you can implement it, and the sooner things will completely change for you.
Yeah. And do you get brownie points if you're able to do 1 and 2 together while you're outside? Get some vitamin D too?
Yes, absolutely. Being outside, being in nature. I mean, I think it all kind of goes to the number 2 of like getting away from all the noise, like getting yourself some space.
Yeah.
Because that is critical. Like regulating your nervous system and creating space.
Yeah.
Two massive game changers for you.
Thank you, Melissa. This has been eye-opening, interesting, and validating, because I'm telling you, I know this for a fact. It will work if you listen. You must listen to the voice inside you. She is right. So many times she is right.
Oh, she's always right. I think we just don't hear her enough. Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate the time, and hopefully everybody watching will go and get their chart so we can all start being in better alignment.
Yes.
Thank you for joining me, Melissa.
Thank you so much for having me.